Why do the single friends get left behind? A majority of my friends are in relationships right now. As the single friend, I feel like I'm not given much thought anymore. Obviously, I understand it takes time and effort, and it's super exciting when you start a new romantic relationship, but I've never been the type of person to ditch my friends when I have a significant other, especially if they're still single. Friendships are an important priority to me, but I don't feel like a lot of other people see it that way. I'm the one reaching out for plans. If I don't initiate, it doesn't happen. I stop hearing from them as often. I'm getting left out of plans because they want to double date, and I just feel like a last resort option in everyone's lives. We're all adults, and it's tough to make plans as it is with everyone working, but I'm really tired of people disappearing once a new boyfriend or girlfriend appears. Is this just how it is?
Yeah.
Ew, it's so annoying because kind of. Yeah. It is just how it is.
I mean, everything she said is so accurate. Like, when I was the one in the relationship, like, I still prioritize seeing my friends. Like, it's kind of the stuff that I was just saying. And now I'm at a point in my life where most of my friends, with the exception of like 3 or 4, are in serious relationships, and I see it. I totally see it happening, and unfortunately it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that this whole situation starts with us, and when you're the single friend and it's happening to you, it's too late because you kind of need to see it. Like, it's not on her to solve this, and she kind of can't. Like, it has to be the people in the relationships that hear the story, and it's like that comment I always see on TikTok. The algorithm feeds you content and you're like, wait, put this on their feed. Like, we need to put this on the feeds of the people that are in relationships, not the people that are clicking on an episode called like single friend reparations or whatever it's called.
Right. Because it's the single friends that are going to listen to this, and we're all on the same page.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's so true, because it's like we could sit here and talk until we're blue in the face about how like now I'm the single friend, and like I was so good about it when I was in a relationship. Like, I would say to my boyfriend, like, you need to go be with your friends just like I need to go be with mine. But now that I'm the single friend, like, I can't just sit here and expect the same. I can hope for the same, but I can't expect it.
Yeah.
And just as I was in a relationship 4 years ago, we're now at different levels in our relationships. Now all of my friends that are in relationships are engaged, married, or have kids. So although I was in a relationship where I could be like, all right, let's, do our own thing. Like, you go be with your friends, I'll go be with mine. It's not as simple anymore.
Yeah.
So,
and it's always that weird line too. I feel like we've talked about this before, where if it's like a boyfriend, it's like give or take if they're invited. But then when they're married, it's like 100% they're invited, unless it's like completely an all girls thing. Right. And that's also a weird line, because it's like, it does reach a certain point where I remember feeling this with one of my close friends. Once they got in this relationship that they were in for a long time and they lived together and they were like on the road to like engagement and marriage, I'm like, wait, so am I never going to see you
without
again?
That person?
Without that person? Like, will it ever just be us, the two of us?
Sometimes no.
I know, and that's crazy. Like, that's like scary and sad. So I don't know. I do think if it's a close friend, you could say something like that to them and tell them straight up, like, I'm so happy for you that you're in a relationship, but I do miss the days where just you and I would hang out. Do you ever have time in your schedule for that?
Yeah.
And like, ask them to come back to you. Like, don't like guilt trip them. You're always with the boyfriend. It's him. Be like, I miss you. Like, I miss hanging out with just us. Like, let's have a girls' night or a boys' night or whatever.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, I think when it comes to like the double dating thing, I especially think you need to cut people some slack. You don't need to, but you can try to, when it's their first relationship and it's like the two best friends just got boyfriends for the first time. They're like, double date. Like, they've never, this is their first time living life too. Like, people get excited, people get caught up, but I do think you could say, if this is happening often with your close friends, I do think you could bring it up and be like, I'm totally excited that you are going on double dates. I wish I could be there. And sometimes it feels like if I found a boyfriend, maybe I would get the invite.
Right.
So I'm wondering if I could still get the invite, even though I don't have a boyfriend yet.
That's like kind of what I was getting at with all the other stuff about like still include your person, because it's like, that's the sad part. Like, just because I don't have a boyfriend, like, I'm missing out on like a group outing or whatever it is. You know
this
what
like
I mean?
Date night and like couples night, couples party. Like, just because I haven't met my person yet, I now have to miss out on plans. So now I'm double sad, because I'm sad that I haven't found my soulmate yet. I want to find my soulmate just like you do. Yeah. And I want to be happy with my soulmate just like you are. But now I have to be sad that I don't have my soulmate and that I'm missing couples game night. Like, why do I have to face both?
Right.
Like, I should be allowed to go to the game night.
It all kind of just falls into like, just like for a perspective conversation, like whether or not you get a +1 to a wedding. It's like, oh, well, you're single, so you don't get a +1. But it's like, so now I have to be reminded at this wedding that I'm going to stand here by myself at cocktail hour when everyone around me got to bring their significant other. And I wasn't even allowed to bring a friend to talk to. I'm just going to stand here like the outcast.
It's just so annoying when it comes to certain events where a default person or a date is standard. Obviously, the wedding is the number one example.
Sure.
Sometimes you could say like company parties where everyone gets to bring their significant other and whatever. So every single person there that happened to be lucky enough to find their person in life gets to have the default person. And just like missing the couple's game night, just because you aren't lucky enough to have met your soulmate by the time you're 25, you have to go to all the parties alone. And I expect you to come to my wedding alone and have fun alone just because you haven't found your boyfriend yet. Just because you haven't found your husband yet. You're going to be alone. Like, that's just not fair.
Well, and you know what? And I'll say this from experience because it's happened in my adult recent single life. I am literally the only person there by myself. By myself. I follow a couple here to the bar. I follow a couple there to the snacks. And I literally catch myself just like talking to my parents, aunts, cousins, friend. Because I'm literally standing there by myself. And like there have been weddings where I've been given +1s and I'm just like, oh, you know, it's not worth me taking someone. So I'm not saying that I'm always put in this situation. I have put myself in this situation, but other people do put me in this situation. There are people in my life that like, and I'm not talking like 3 years ago when my friend got married and like 7 of us were single. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about right now when 18 out of 19 of my first cousins are in relationships and I'm going to show up to the next however many events by myself and twiddle my thumbs and get a drink and sit at the bar and I don't know, maybe my parents will hang out with me. Because here's the thing, I'm going to follow one couple around like a lost puppy all night. Literally by myself.
And like thinking of it from the perspective of the single person, it's like, well, I don't want to have a stranger at my wedding. First of all, you're not even going to notice a stranger at your wedding. There's going to be wait staff, bartenders, wedding planners. There are going to be a lot of strangers at your wedding that you're not even going to notice.
And maybe if you keep not giving me a +1, the bartender at your wedding's not going to be a stranger so much longer. But and you're not going to get a +1 to me in the bartender's wedding.
True. But also just think about it from your friend's perspective, okay? Even if everyone there doesn't have a +1 or isn't in a relationship, if a small handful of people that aren't friends with each other or that are very independent, like maybe, I don't know. There's a million situations, but like if there are a small number of people that just don't have a boyfriend, like just think about it like this. They are now expected to be alone and have the same amount of fun as everyone that has a default person. It makes your life easier to have a default person. If you are in a relationship with someone that you can rely on and you are cohabitating and you are living life together as partners, your life is easier. It's been easier for me since I've been in a relationship. I have a default person. We always know that we can rely on each other. We go places together. I know how I'm getting there and who I'm going with and who I'm going home with. That's a privilege because I lived a long time where I didn't have that. And being alone and putting yourself out there all day and all night at this event is harder and it's less fun. I'm sorry. It's less fun to go to an event by yourself. And I think that people that are in relationships, it's really, really easy to sit there and say, well, there's a bunch of single friends, just like it's really, really easy to sit there and say, it'll happen when you least expect it. Stop assuming things about your single friends when you are in a long-term relationship. It's not fair to them. And it actually makes their life more difficult.
And it's really never that simple.
It's never that simple. Because now they have to travel to your wedding alone, get a hotel room alone. There's no splitting the cost. There's no carpooling together. There's no when should we leave. It's like you have to stress about when to go and when to go home. And you God,
I did it recently. We went to a wedding. I was by myself and I was begging Kelee and her boyfriend to leave. I was like, come on, like I want to go home, but like we're all going together because I didn't have a default person to come with.
It's just
and guess
not
what's
fair.
Gonna happen again.
It's just not fair. Like think about it from someone else's perspective and don't just make the decision for them. Like, oh, well, they'll have that random person's girlfriend who's in the wedding party. She'll be sitting alone during parts of the day. So like they can sit with her. Like, no. How about you ask your loved ones what would be easier for them?
And what would make them
you happy? How would you be comfortable at my wedding? Because it's a privilege to have you at my wedding. So how can I make you happy?
It is literally
how can I help you?
Privilege to have me at your wedding.
It really is.
So make it comfortable for me.
It really is though. It's just not fair. I think I've said it. Just think about it, okay? You're in a relationship. Okay? Think about it. Think about it.
And also, if you're single, stick to your ground. If you're I chose to travel and not have kids, don't let the Instagram trolls troll you.
Yeah, stand on business.
Let them go home to their smelly diapers.
Yeah.
You keep traveling, honey.
Also, this might be considered rude, but one of my friends got married recently, and at first I did not get a +1, and it was a wedding that I have to travel to. Like, it wasn't 5 minutes down the road. And I texted her and I asked if I could have a +1 and bring my boyfriend, and she texted me back and was like, yes, of course. So if you're sitting there stressing about it, I think you should ask.
Yeah.
And if you think it's going to make them uncomfortable, maybe they should think about how it will make you uncomfortable. Think about how uncomfortable you're going to be the entirety of the time that you're at their wedding, because it's probably the same feeling. And it's probably way easier for them to just be like, yeah, let's just add on an extra guest because 20 other people already said no, and then everyone's going to be happy.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a big ask to ask if you can have a travel partner when you're traveling
Especially
to
when
someone's
it's a
event.
traveling wedding.
Yeah.
Totally.
And obviously I was so grateful that my friend is a reasonable person and was like, yeah, of course you can bring your boyfriend. Like, she probably just didn't really think about it, or she probably made her guest list before we started dating, or I don't even know. Who knows? But sometimes you just need to ask and be honest about how you're feeling with your friends, because it's your loved ones and your friends whose weddings you're attending, and they should care about you enough to consider your feelings.
True.
Period.